You have your polo all the way buttoned up. You had to listen to some classical music to get ready for this podcast. Good to have you on, my guy.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I overpaid for my breakfast this morning. Got a couple podcasts in already, so I'm living large this morning.
All right. That's what
Yeah,
overpaid for your breakfast. What you mean?
I got Starbucks, and I'm hooked
Okay.
on that. So it's like 12.50 for a grilled cheese and a coffee.
Hey, man, you making that big money, you can afford
That's the thing. I'm not. So,
it.
but other than that, man, life is great. I see you're doing your thing. Your broadcasts have been phenomenal. I'm always watching your content. Every time you and I do podcasts, people absolutely love it. So let me just first go out and say, we'll get into everything in the bets that we may have had. But I'm surprised that you like the Jack Harlow album because, like I told you, my timeline, a lot of people didn't like it. My friend and I really liked it. It's getting a lot of pushback. So you liked Harlow's album.
I like Jack Harlow's album, but I'm older, so it's a little bit more mellow, so it flows with me. Then the harder songs, like Dua Lipa and some of those songs, like I like those songs. I like Young Harleasy. I like Churchill Downs and Drake. So, and the stuff that he's talking about, I'm 40 years old. I'm really not here for gunplay and drug talk. You know what I'm saying? Like I love Pusha T, but like, how long can this guy continue to talk about I sell drugs to the community? Pusha, it's been 2 decades, all right? Either you selling whack drugs or you need to stop and rap about something different. So I'm at the age, I'm at the point in my life where like if somebody's talking about stuff that I like and that I can identify with, I'll
Yeah.
like that a little bit more. And so I can I like Harlow's album. I like the flow. I like the production. I like what he's talking about.
Yeah. I liked it. I really do. It's more lyrical, like you said. It's just a lot more chill. I feel like I'm an old soul, B Wood. I feel like I'm supposed to be born back in the day. I feel like I'm old. Yeah, but yeah,
Old young guy. Old young guy.
yeah, I'm an old soul. I don't like to go out and party too much. I like to just kind of this is my form of partying. Like I love to just talk hoops and talk NBA, but we'll get right into it. There's a couple things I want to bring up, but first I must acknowledge I always admit when I'm right. So I have to admit when I'm wrong. We made a bet a while ago.
We did. I wasn't gonna bring it up, but we did make a bet.
We did, and I feel like I let my ego and pride get the best of me. That's the young side of me a little bit. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm standing 10 toes down. I'm picking the Lakers come out the West. We don't have to really talk about the Lakers. But obviously I was more than incorrect. So your prediction was the Golden State Warriors come out of the Western Conference Finals, and I had them beating Golden State. I had them beating Memphis and Denver. So it looks like that's going to happen. So you won that bet. So hats off to you. You were right and I was wrong. I'll be a big man and say it.
Don't forget in the bet, you have to wear a Steph Curry jersey and go on your social media platform and say I was right. So that was
Yeah,
part of the bet.
yeah. So did we determine what form of jersey it is? Is it away?
And
Is it
you
city?
can do home, away, throwback, whatever you want. You the one wearing it.
Yeah. And not only do they go to the finals, and we'll get into it, I think they could win the whole thing, B Wood. Curry could be getting his fourth ring.
Yeah, I've seen it the whole way with this Golden State Warriors team. They're just so connected. They're well coached. They have a great culture. They have great leadership with Steph and Draymond. Jordan Poole's development has been key. Andrew Wiggins' development has been key. And when I just look at this team, they were just the best mix of defense and offense that I've seen all year long. And we're seeing it play out in the playoffs. They can beat you no matter what the style is. If it's a defensive game plan, they can beat you like that. But if you want to go out there and score 125, 130 points, as the Dallas Mavericks just found out, they can beat you that way too, is what they did in game two, because they have so many elite scorers and elite shooters. And this is one of the few teams where their star player can score with the ball and without the ball. And that makes it deadly. A lot of the team's star players can't really score without the ball.
Yeah, they all move so well without the ball. The motion offense, that PTSD lineup with Poole, Thompson, Draymond, and Curry, like that's ridiculous. Now, I will say, I was talking to my friend this morning about it. Miami can play small ball with them. I mean, and so can Boston, really. So that will be interesting to see. But did you see Poole taking that next step the way that he has? Like, I didn't know if it was just he's getting buckets because Klay Thompson is out, but now he's getting buckets even with Thompson there. Like it's just a consistent thing. He's getting buckets. So I made a TikTok because I'm trying to be big on TikTok now about it, and it got a lot of traction. They're going to have to pay Jordan Poole, right? Like you don't want to let this man walk. So what do they do going forward? Because obviously Steph Curry don't even talk about it. He's going to get his money. I would pay Jordan Poole I think you keep Clay, so it looks like you move off Wiggins if you give Poole that payday, right?
It's a possibility. If you can't keep everybody, you definitely got to keep Jordan Poole. I would definitely like to see what Klay Thompson looks like with a full off season, a full training camp. I don't think we're seeing the best of Klay Thompson. I think he's gonna be even better next season. So they might have to let go of Wiggins, and that's where the development of some of their young guys like Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga come into play. If those guys step up, then maybe you move off of Wiggins, and that's where you can make room for Jordan Poole. But now Poole's going to be there for a long time. So like yeah. I don't know who's going to be. Whether maybe they want to move off Clay, I wouldn't recommend that, but they could. Maybe they want to move off Wiggins, but I know they won't be moving off of Jordan Poole. I've loved how he's played from the beginning of the year all the way till now. He's a legit scorer, and with them, he makes them a lot different than every other team now, because there used to be big threes. The big three has died out. He gives them that big three, because it's like when I watch what Dallas did to Phoenix, they just loaded up on Booker. And Chris Paul didn't play well, and there wasn't another legit playmaker on the squad. And that's where maybe James Jones kind of failed the team and from a front office standpoint, because, guys like Eric Gordon from Houston was available. Buddy from Orlando that gets buckets off the bench. I can't think of his name right now. Terrence Ross, who was available. They could have used somebody like that. So Golden State Warriors, though, are different. If you try to load up on Steph, when they kick it ahead, they're kicking ahead to Klay Thompson. He can go for 20 or 30 in a quarter. When they're kicking ahead, they're kicking ahead to Poole. And he's another guy that can hit shots from the outside. And then on top of that, you're kicking to Jordan Poole, and now you put him in the perfect scenario. You've loaded up on Steph, he kicks it to Poole, and now he has a defender running at him where he can say, hey, I can shoot it, I can drive you, or I can just get to my little midi and pull up for my mid-range jumper. This team has a true big three. It's going to be really hard for teams to beat them.
Yeah, and he lets his imagination run wild with his confidence. So he doesn't mind just, hey, I have a blank canvas. I'm going to just paint a beautiful picture here, defense however I want. And then on top of that, as elite of a defender as Draymond is, he's a great playmaker. So they don't always rely on Steph doing all the playmaking. I don't mind Draymond Green making the decision-making and giving it to Clay, Poole, and Curry to score, because they have so many different ways to approach the game. They're virtual. I'm not saying they're unbeatable, but out of the teams remaining, they have more ways to beat you than any other team.
Anybody can get knocked off, but at the end of the day, they're the most diverse. And I'm glad you brought up Dre's playmaking, because too many times people talk about Dre, they talk about what he doesn't do, because people don't like him. I get it. He can be annoying, right? So they want to talk that he doesn't score well. But what he does do well is he plays excellent defense on the ball, off the ball, and weak side. And he's a dynamic playmaker. So when these teams try to blitz Steph Curry, when Dre catches that ball and gets to going downhill and he finds Wiggins in the corner for three, or when Dre gets to going downhill and he throws a quick bounce pass or a lob to Looney, like those are the type of plays that just kill those double teams. So Dre's a necessity for this team, and it's just another aspect of why they're so good, because even their weakest offensive option has a way to make plays and still be involved in the offense. It's not like this is an ISO offense where he's just standing in the corner and you can double off of him.
Right. And so I think Curry, Clay, and Draymond are Warriors for life. You keep Poole. I think they end up moving off Wiggins just because he'll get expensive compared to the contracts they have. And like you said, Kuminga, it's kind of why you drafted him and you're developing to kind of take that role of Wiggins. Wiggins took the role of, well, it's Harrison Barnes, then obviously KD is an outlier, and then now there's Wiggins, and then it'll be Kuminga. I want to focus on Dallas. I'm not even going to get into my bold take about Dallas. I told you I was selling my Luka stock, and I said that not because of the player he is. He's amazing. He'll win MVPs, crazy stats, game winners. But what comes with that is going to be winning. And we've only seen one player win consistently, being the system, and that is LeBron. Now, even though Luka's incredibly talented, he's not the athlete or the defender of Bron in his prime. I don't think it's consistent to win being the system. You'll get burnt out. Even Phil Jackson told Michael Jordan, let's get the ball to your hands. You can average 40 all day. That's not how you win championships. But that's why I sold my Luka stock, because of what the expectations will be. But all that being said, B. Wood, he needs another guy. Like Mark Cuban to go hyper aggressive in free agency and get a Bradley Beal. There's always Damian Lillard talks. But would you agree with that? He needs another guy, because I do believe Luka could win if he had another star alongside him.
Yeah, Luka definitely needs to win it. I think you made a great assessment when you talked about what Phil Jackson told Michael Jordan. Like, hey, your 37 points per game is cool, but the triangle offense is going to get everybody involved. You're still going to get your buckets, but maybe you don't average 37. Maybe we take that down to 31, 32, and we get some of these other guys involved within the offense so it's not so Michael-centric. I think the same thing applies here with Luka. I don't know how they're going to be able to pull the trade to get a star.
Yeah.
Like guys like Bradley Beal aren't going to be cheap. God like, or maybe a Zach LaVine. I don't know how they make any of these moves work. I haven't looked at Dallas's books and how they can make those moves work right now, so I'm not really prepared to talk about it. But I do agree with you that they do need a secondary star so that Luka doesn't have to do everything by himself. Sometimes he can get off of it and he can still be a threat within the offense. And the second thing is I think he has to be in shape as well. So they got to get him another star. He has to come in probably 20 pounds less than where he is right now. And I wouldn't say sell your Luka stock because he's so young. There's no telling what he could be or what the team is going to look like in a couple of years if they get the right player in there with him or if they draft the right player. Sometimes you draft a guy, 15th, 16th, 17th overall, and he turns into a superstar. So you never know.
Right. Now, I was looking at free agents. I did a little homework. Now, they have a player option. Kyrie Irving has a player option. Bradley Beal, Westbrook Harden, John Wall, Gary Harris, Zach LaVine. Those are free agents completely. DeAndre Ayton, I think that's going to be a big free agent as well, where he decides that can make or break Phoenix a little bit. But I feel like a Beal, if Mark Cuban was able to do the numbers right and they were able to make that trade happen or sign Bradley Beal, do you believe that duo fits him alongside a guy like Luka?
Yeah, I believe Bradley Beal will fit with almost anybody because Bradley can play on and off the ball. He can catch and shoot. He can be involved in the pick and roll. At the same time, he can come off pin downs. That's perfect because if Luka has the ball, you can run a pin down. You can activate Bradley. They can run a pick and roll together and play the mismatch. They can that would be great. I just don't know how they're going to get that done. And to the Mavericks' credit, they saw this coming and they thought they avoided it. When they brought in Porzingis, it was supposed to be Porzingis and Luka. They were trying to get 1A and 1B. They didn't want it to be so Luka-centric. It just didn't work out. Sometimes you make a move and it doesn't work, and that's why Porzingis is in D.C. And so I think it's going to be hard to get Bradley Beal because, D.C. just traded with Dallas to get Porzingis. They obviously want to see a Porzingis-Beal tandem at least for the first half of the season next year to see what it looks like. So Bradley Beal will probably be ideal, but how realistic is it? I really don't know.
Now, I'm going to say this because I cover the Orlando Magic, so I have a little bit of a biased perspective when it comes to Mo Bamba because I've just seen him play so often. I'm not saying he's the second guy or like an all-star for Luka, but I do think he's a nice pick. He'll be a free agent. He'd be just a nice little pickup for the Dallas Mavericks to have. A guy who obviously you want to play 5 out with a guy like Luka. Mo can stretch the floor, block a lot of shots. He's just one of those role players I think would fit really well with Luka.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Mo Bamba is shooting the 3 better. He blocks shots. He can pick and roll, pick and pop. Gives you a lot of different options. And in the modern day NBA, if you don't have a traditional center that you can give the ball to, a Jokic or an Embiid, and there's not many of them, you want a center that can get up and down the court and give you versatility. A guy that can affect the game inside and out. And that's what Mo Bamba does. Hey, I can throw a lob to him at the rim. I can put him in the corner. He can hit the corner 3. And so I think Mo Bamba will fit definitely. It all comes down to pricing. And I have faith that Mark Cuban is going to do a good job putting a good, strong roster around Luka.
Yeah, and I think you and I talked about this a couple podcasts ago. Maybe it was our last podcast. I'm surprised that Dallas and Atlanta aren't bigger free agent destinations. And I think that's going to change because you think geographically, Dallas, like Texas, no state tax, obviously a great guy with Mark Cuban running the team. And then you got a superstar like Luka. I would just be so surprised. Of course, the books matter a lot and what they can pay guys. But as far as just a free agent destination, Atlanta and Dallas seem like 2 places that should be a no-brainer.
I don't know. You know what? You know what's kind of weird? We're in the team up era, right? Where stars call other stars and they team up with their friends and guys that they've known for a long time. Like, hey, Bron and Wade, hey, got on the phone. Let's get Bosh in here. Let's get this done. We saw what happened with Kawhi and Paul George. They were able to get this thing. They were able to get it done. Even to a certain degree in Minnesota, Karl Anthony Towns and D'Lo, they wanted to play together. They were able to talk, and you don't really see that with the American-born players and the like Guys went like that summer where the big three got put together with LeBron. None of those guys were calling Dirk. Dirk was better than Chris Bosh. No disrespect to Chris Bosh, but like Dirk was better than Chris Bosh. They didn't call Dirk. Like, like who's calling Jokic to form the next big two, big three, whatever it is. Like that's something we don't talk about. You rarely see the American-born players teaming up with the foreign guys. They normally team up with each other because whether it's comfort level, whether it's they've known each other for years and hang out in the all season, they've played in similar AAU circuits, but you really don't see it's like, oh man, I'm about to call up Luka, or I'm gonna call up Jokic, or I'm gonna call up Dirk. You don't really see those type of combos meshing. They're calling up their friends that they grew up with.
That's really interesting. I never thought about that. And then you look at a guy like Giannis, for example. Even though he's successful, he's not calling up anybody. He's like, I'm not leaving. I'm not teaming up. I like it where I'm at right
and
here.
Who's calling up Giannis? He's not from around here either. You know what I'm saying? Like you really don't see a lot of that. Like, who's Giannis's good friend on another team that he's going to call up?
I don't know. And he had an opportunity to do it when he was a free agent, and he didn't do it. And I didn't even hear anyone really pitching to try to get him like that. You think it's a cultural thing, or it's just how they play over there? It's just that's not their thing to team up.
A lot of times you team up with guys that you know and you like. Kyrie and KD, we saw them talking about teaming up at the All-Star game. They've been friends. They like each other.
Yeah.
These guys now have the power. They're teaming up with their LeBron James and D Wade. They've been friends for years. They liked each other. Like so some of these guys, they have relationships and they call each other up and they trying to figure out what it is. But you don't really see or hear the rumors of, oh, this American-born player was calling this foreign-born player. So I'm not sure if it's going to happen like that for Dallas, because who's Luka tight with? Who's he gonna recruit?
That's a really good point. I never thought about that. And when you look at all the overseas international players who are successful, yeah, they're not teaming up with anybody at all. And those are arguably the best players in the world right now. A guy like Jokic, a guy like Luka and Giannis. I never thought about that, B-Wood. That's why you get paid the big bucks.
Yeah, I get paid medium bucks. I don't get paid the big. I used to get paid the big bucks. I'm medium bucks now.
Man, that's next level thinking right there. I wanted to talk to you about Miami too. So I recorded a podcast earlier today, and it was a light bulb moment for me. And of course, Eric Spoelstra is regarded as one of the best coaches. I think he's the best coach in the game right now. But what he's been able to do with the stars that he has, the roster that he's been having, is beyond incredible. Right? You think of Pop, he had Tim Duncan, Manu, Tony. You think of Phil, obviously Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, Shaq, Kobe. Of course, he had the big three at one point in time in Miami, but what Spo's been able to do and never really taking a dip, even when they went to the finals in the bubble. I don't want to go too far ahead because it's already incredible what he's doing now. But if Spo's able to go to the finals, and let's just say in a perfect world he wins it, don't we have to have that conversation if Spo could be the greatest coach of all time or have the potential to reach that? Because he's so young too. It's not like he's older. So he already has a Hall of Fame resume as a coach, and he's so young. It's almost like he really is following Pat Riley's footsteps in that sense, and he'll have so much time to continue to build that resume. Could we be seeing Spo really making that greatest coach of all time type of run?
He can make, will he get there? It's a possibility. Obviously, you got to talk about guys like Phil Jackson. You got to talk about guys like Greg Popovich, Pat Riley, Red Auerbach. Steve Kerr that's going to be direct competition. You know what I'm saying? Like Steve Kerr's already got 3 titles. Steve Kerr, somebody said the other day, Steve Kerr has never been in the playoffs and not made the finals in his coaching career. He's never been in the playoffs and not made the finals. He's either not made the playoffs or he's made the playoffs and he went to the finals, and he's about to do it again this year. So could we see Spoelstra and Kerr, for that matter, as guys that, if they continue to stack wins, challenge some of the old guard in the history books? Absolutely. And I'm happy for Eric Spoelstra, because one of the negatives with playing for LeBron James or playing with LeBron James as a player and as a coach is you never get enough credit. People thought Eric Spoelstra was a substitute teacher when LeBron James was there. He was just holding the clipboard, and LeBron and Wade and Bosh were doing their thing, and nothing that he did matter. It was when LeBron James left, people were like, oh, he can really coach. And every single year we're starting to see him get more and more credit. And I would never sell anybody short and tell them what they can't be. So I think that he has a possibility, if he continues to stack chips, to be in the debate or in the conversation for greatest coach ever. He got some work to do. Pop's got his rings. Phil's got 6 of them things. And then you got to look, he's in direct competition with somebody right now in Steve Kerr. So he has a shot, but there is some competition for who the greatest coach in basketball history is going to be.
Now, let me say this, though. Now, this is not to discredit anything those great coaches have done, but it's not their fault. This is the situation that they were in. Pop never won without Tim Duncan. Mm-hmm. Phil Jackson's never won without having Kobe, Shaq, Jordan, Pippen, Rodman. And you look at Kerr, which I love Steve Kerr, but he also inherited after what Mark Jackson was able to create, and he had obviously Steph, Clay, Draymond.
You been talking to Ryan Hollins? He inherited what Mark Jackson created.
I'm just.
No, hey, listen. We got. Can we debunk that? I love Mark Jackson, but the Golden State Warriors ran a totally different style than when Mark Jackson was there. Steve Kerr changed the players. Mark Jackson helped develop the players, but they were never going to run that style with Mark Jackson.
100%. But defensively, Mark Jackson is what put that in place. Because at first, of course, you think of the Splash Bros, but they were an elite defensive team because of Mark. Steve just obviously created that motion offense in a different style to ultimately make them win championships.
Steve also pulled the plug and played Draymond a lot more too, because they weren't a defensive team. Why? Because they were a traditional team. They had a traditional power forward in David Lee, who scored 18 points but gave up 25.
Right.
And so that's what I'm saying. Some of those little tweaks that are like Kerr made, like once again, Mark gets his credit, but a lot of people sometimes say, "Oh man, Steve Kerr just inherited this, that, and the third." I'm like, though they had to promote Draymond Green over David Lee at the time. That was controversial.
Yeah, it was.
David Lee was fresh off 18 and 10. Him not playing was controversial. Like changing this style to the style that we see today. Today it seems normal. Back then the motto was what? Live by the three, die by the three. He totally changed the way this team plays basketball.
Exactly, and I agree with that. And I love Steve Kerr because very few people are able to be good at one thing. Not only was he a good NBA player, a great GM, great broadcaster, and now he's a great coach. So I love Steve Kerr. But my whole point is they all have had incredible talent. Like I said, besides that big three with Spo, like these rosters that he's having, I'm not saying they're bad, but compared to what you're looking at with those other guys, I feel like he's able to do more with less considering what he has.
And listen, if Eric Spoelstra is able to get a championship with this team, it's definitely going to be a feather in his cap that he doesn't have what some would call a traditional superstar. Jimmy Butler, I think, is knocking at the door, but when we talk about top 5 players, he's not there right now. If we talk about top 5 right now, it's Luka, no particular order, Luka, Embiid, Giannis, Jokic, and KD, right? So we got that. Stop it. I know you're looking at me because you want LeBron in there. LeBron is not top 5 right now. If your team don't make the play and you're not top 5, you can come back next year. He's not top 5. But
okay.
I didn't even put Steph in that top 5. And I'm just saying.
I think we're quick to put KD in it. And I agree with the other 4, but I mean, I don't know if KD is quick to put it in top 5 anymore. I'm just saying. You
take KD out and put Steph in?
Yeah, honestly, I just think
Steph might win his 4th title. Like, I'm not gonna fight you on that.
It's not. I'm just saying we shouldn't be so quick to say a guy who just averaged 30 to not be in it. That's all I'm saying. Other than that, I agree with the other 4.
Yeah, and listen, if somebody wants to, with the fact that Brooklyn was the only playoff team that didn't win a playoff game, and Steph is about to go to another finals and possibly win his 4th, and I hope he gets the MVP that he deserves. He should have had 2. I think he should have had the Iguodala one and the last one that they won. His numbers were incredible. But to the point, I see what you're saying. But taking that all the way back full circle, Spoelstra doesn't have a top 5 guy, and most coaches that win championships, they have that top 5 guy. Phil, he had Mike, he had Kobe and Shaq. Pop had Tim Duncan, he had Manu, Tony Parker, Kawhi. I see what you're saying is that this roster, while it's a very good roster, it doesn't resemble some of the rosters that some of the best coaches in NBA history have had as far as when it comes down to Hall of Fame talent. There might not be a Hall of Famer on this team.
Is Lowry a Hall of Famer?
In Toronto.
Because he's obviously the greatest Raptor of all time.
Yeah, I think he's going to get a statue in Toronto. I'm not sure if he's a lock to be a Hall of Famer, just a National Basketball Association Hall of Famer. If he gets in, I support it. But I'm just saying, like, I can't say today, like, he's a lock. Like, if we talk, like, people don't like James Harden, but guess what? If he stopped playing today, he's a lock. I don't know if Kyle Lowry's a lock. Like I said, I know in Toronto, he's always going to be a god. But to your point, bringing it back to where Miami is,
Yeah.
You're right. Got to give Spo his credit. If Spo gets it done if Spo's able to knock off Boston, then win the championship with a roster that probably doesn't have a lock Hall of Fame on it, that says a lot about your coaching staff, and especially this team with the way they've developed the younger guys like Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, the rebirth of Victor Oladipo. There's been so many different things I can point to from a culture and a development standpoint that's been great for Coach Spo and his coaching staff.
Right, 100%. Now, the last two things I want to ask you, and I hate to bounce back and forth because I know we talk Warriors. If Steph were to win a fourth championship, I mean, that does tie Braun, which is impressive, right? 2 MVPs, first ever unanimous MVP, greatest shooter of all time, changed the game. I have him top 10 all time. Arguably, I could say that without even winning this ring, he's top 10 of all time. Do you feel like he's ranked that high, or should we have that conversation if he isn't?
I think that he's deserving of it. The question just becomes, who do you pull out?
Hakeem Olajuwon. I did the list this morning. You know I'm a nerd with this stuff. I did my list, and
I'm fair. That's fair. Yeah.
Okay.
If you talk about, listen, if we talk about a guy with 4 rings, that's more than Hakeem. If he wins, he would have 4 rings. Hopefully, he would have an NBA Finals MVP. He has 2 regular season MVPs, first unanimous, and totally changed the way the game of basketball is played in the modern era. If you want to take out Hakeem and put in Steph, I'm with it. And and you know I love the big fellas. House of Haywood here. You know I'm down for the big fellas. I don't want to take Hakeem out. But I can never fight what Steph Curry is doing. What Steph Curry has done has been phenomenal.
Yeah. See, you're a smart guy, B-Wood. You're a smart guy.
I know. That's why I always win our bets.
Yeah.
I always go with my head over my heart. That's what I do.
We've made 1 bet so far, right?
Yeah, but we're gonna make some more. I'm gonna win those too.
I'm about to say, that's the first bet I've lost in a long time. Certainly the first bet I've lost on air on the podcast. I've beaten Rob Parker. I beat the who's who. Like I love
Rob Parker, but Rob's not me.
We'll make another one. When time comes, it'll be there.
I love Rob, but you can't put a price on experience. And I can see certain things coming based on experience. I can see this Lakers team coming to mind. I didn't know they were gonna be this bad. I did not think they were going to be as bad as what people were saying. My experience, who's going – we talked about that when we went out to breakfast. I said, who's going to guard on this team? I said, who's going to guard? Like, when everybody talks championship, they love these Warriors teams. They love the offense. It's the defense. All these last 4 teams that are left playing, these are probably four of the top 10 defensive teams in the NBA. If you can't get a stop come late April and May, you won't be playing in June. That's just the fact. That's why I never, ever bought into any of the Brooklyn teams. They never could stop anybody.
You're smart. Yeah, you're a smart man. I'll have to think twice before I make a bet with you. The last thing I want to ask you, Jason Tatum. So obviously he beats Brooklyn. He beats Milwaukee. Granted, I do think Milwaukee wins that series if they have Middleton, but you can't live in the F world. So that being said, that's 2 impressive, huge series that he played really well in. The way he guarded KD was beyond impressive. Obviously, it's a team effort, but he was matched up with them a lot sometimes on those ISO plays. I'm not here to tear down Jason Tatum, but I'm here to let's have an accountable conversation. Like, he has that superstar potential, but we're seeing it already in this Miami series. Sometimes it disappears. Like, I don't see the consistency of a top 5 type of guy. And when you beat a guy like KD, that's the conversation that was starting to be had. What do you make of him, this playoff run, and what do you need to see from him against Miami? Is he that guy that people are talking about?
He's knocking right at the door. We've seen great performances. He's been up and down, but he's very young too. And so this is you got to realize this is his first time really going into the playoffs as that guy and seeing that guy type of coverage. And that guy type of coverage is different than the regular season. And there's certain players, like I love Anthony Edwards and I love Karl Anthony Towns. What happened in the playoffs this year is they gave Karl Anthony Towns that guy type of coverage. They started double teaming him a lot, loading up, taking away his ISOs. And Karl didn't look as good. And luckily, Ant was there to pick it up. And we'll see, can Ant be that guy? Because eventually he's going to get that type of coverage. And when you're that dude and they start loading up, sometimes there's going to be some ebbs and flows as you try to figure out, how do I beat this defense when they're loading up and they're forcing me to pass the ball to a guy that I don't want that guy to take 15 shots this game because I know that's where they want the ball to go. Like, how does my coaching staff help me? There's all types of different ways to go about this. So I think Jason Tatum is a young player knocking on the door of top 5. I think he's going to be there fairly soon. And if he wins this championship, and that's still a possibility, we might have to slide him in the top 5. And the game has always been about wing versatility for me. The wing is king. Even though I love my big fellas, the wing is king. And you talk about a guy 6'9" with his type of versatility. As much as I love some of those guys that I already put in the top 5, if I was building a team, I would take Jason Tatum over. I would take Jason Tatum over Jokic and Embiid if I was building a team today, because it's easier to put pieces around a wing player with size and versatility.
You need to be a GM. Like if you weren't in a
That's too much work. You see, I like working for those people right there. This is good. I work a couple days a week and I get to go home and be a family man. A GM, that's what I have a lot of friends that are GM. It's too much work and too much stress. I already don't have any here. I don't have anything to pull up.
Okay. All right. Maybe
you should be a GM.
Now see, I'm still
that
trying
would be your dream job. I already have my dream job. You know what I'm saying? Like you should be a GM.
Conversations are a lot of fun though. Like once I make it in broadcasting, maybe I'll pull a Steve Kerr and I'll just knock it off my bucket list and win a quick ring or something in the league and then call it a day. That's probably the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you'll be my assistant. You'll be the guy that gets to come in the office and just make the decision real quick and walk out. You don't even have to do any of the work.
Okay, yeah. All right, I want the role that Magic Johnson thought he was gonna have in LA. I show up some days I don't. I'm on the yacht. You know what I'm saying? I want that role.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're gonna go on Twitter. I'm like, oh man, he didn't even answer my text. This man's on Twitter. But anyway, B Wood. So I have the Golden State Warriors, and I picked Boston to go in the finals. Who are you taking in that Eastern Conference series?
You know what? I took Boston before the series, and I'm not gonna waver, even though I didn't like the way things looked the other night with them not winning that game with Jimmy Butler not finishing in the second half. I thought Tatum didn't play well, but guess what? I believe he's an emerging superstar. And when you're an emerging superstar, what you have to do is when you get smacked in the face and you fall down on the mat, you got to get right back up to the next game. They have a great opportunity to get game 4 at home, no Tyler Hero. So I'm still going to roll with the Boston Celtics to beat the Miami Heat and meet up with the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals.
All right, B Wood, it's been real. I'll be wearing that Steph Curry jersey here shortly. That's why I've been in the gym to show off the muscle.
Hey, I get a medium too, man. You know, I want to say, hey, get a medium, man. You know.
Yeah, I've been working on my tan. I've been doing extra curls. I'll make sure I look right on that video.
Okay, no problem.
But before I let you go, where can people follow you, listen to you, bug you? The floor is yours.
For me, obviously I'm on NBA. I'm on NBA TV. My Instagram is bwood_33. What else are you looking for your boy? Twitter, bwood_33. Support House of Haywood. That's my personal highlights that I do for the big fellas every week on NBA TV. So when they drop that on the websites, make sure you go out and support it. When I drop it on my social media, make sure you go out there and just retweet it, reuse the video, whatever it is. But that's all it is for me.
All right, and I'll be in Atlanta this weekend. I know you won't be there, but I just want to let you know I'm going to be a problem on those LA fitness courts there. I already got my squad. We're going to be up and rolling. I got my shoes already. I've been stretching. I had a minor back injury. I was kind of like Larry Bird for a little bit doing squats, but now I'm going to be terrorizing those people on the court soon.
Hey, man, knock it out. I haven't played a lick of basketball in like 5 years. I have no desire to some of my friends, I've seen my guys that retired blowing out ACLs, Achilles. I just have no desire to do that at LA Fitness. No.
I don't blame you.
I'm an old man. I do the old man workout. I lift weights. I do the Stairmaster. I do stuff so that I look good in my suits, but I don't hurt myself. That's what I'm trying to do.
You're a smart guy. B Wood, until next time, we'll talk soon.